All right, we're going to talk about the state of the state, and we're going to start with you, Raj, and ask you to discuss your best accomplishments and your top mission programs that you want to outline.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So to say that 2021 was an unprecedented year would be an understatement. And so before we talk about accomplishments during this year, it's really kind of important to put some context around, what the year was for the United States Army. So obviously, everybody, you're all tracking, our retrograde of, operations from Afghanistan. And as we were winding down operations there, that's the one that's been, most public and open to media and obviously open to a lot of controversy and discussion. But, behind the scenes, though, what we saw in 2021 was the fact that the United States Army had to support, through the National Guard, civil unrest all over the United States, from the nation's capital to many of the state governments. Our National Guard was busy working, putting out wildfires in the West to hurricanes in the South and everywhere across the world. Our National Guard and our reservists were busy, jabbing needles in the arms for COVID. And while all of that was going on, we saw the world change around us to the point where we see now China as a pacing threat. And we see, aggression from Russia. And that's just most recent news. But none of this has been, things that just happen overnight. These are things that have been, cooking for the last, 5 to 10 years. And so the geopolitical environment is dramatically different from, where things were just a few years back. Now put that in the context of what happened with COVID and the government workforce moving remote. Put a huge stress on, in terms of how we've traditionally operated as an army. And so that was the environment, under which, I assumed the position of the CIO just over a year ago. Mm-hmm. The CIO's office, by the way, was a brand new office in the Department of the Army. So I was brought in almost like an entrepreneur, leading the establishment of a new office. And to me, with that background, with that context, it was really important to kind of balance the near-term priorities and ongoing operations with the reason why the office was stood up in the first place, which is for us to be forward-leaning and for us to keep up with the changing pace of technology. And so that's a hard balance because, you can't be focused on a 5-year, 10-year horizon and then say, hey, I'm just not going to worry about what's happening today. And so it was, like I said, 2021 is truly an unprecedented year. And my expectations going in were really, it was just, there were obviously hundreds of things that were going on all at the same time, but it was important to pick and choose what I wanted to prioritize. And it was very clear that if we decided to prioritize everything, nothing would get prioritized. And so we did a couple of things. And this is, deliberate decisions we made early on. The first of which was, given that we are a new office and a new position, it was really important for us to establish what our strategy was, because, the best execution without a strategy or a vision, is not a good recipe.
It's a dream.
Absolutely. You got it. It would be a dream without a strategy and a vision. And so despite the fact that, it was very tempting to jump into all kinds of ongoing work, it was important to set that strategy. And so we spent, the first half of the year really building out the Army's first digital transformation strategy. And associated with it, a number of implementation plans. There was one for cloud, there was one for data, one around zero trust, and then one around how we were going to modernize the network. And so we focused on these priorities, and then we identified, near-term targets and, opportunities that we were going to go after. So on the cloud front, the big success in 2021 was us establishing a fully accredited cloud environments, with two of the hyperscalers, Amazon as well as Azure. and in both unclassified and classified environments. And that was, critical because it was not just about moving apps to the cloud, but for us in the Army, it was about us leveraging the cloud as a warfighting platform. And this is how we were going to, exchange operational data and mission data across, networks from both tactical to the enterprise. And so we established those accredited environments. We actually were successful in migrating over 300 systems to the cloud just in 1 year. That included, by the way, 3 of our most complex SAP ERP systems. And this is, one that, we were very cautious about. We were concerned, but we did a lot of planning and the work that went into it. So that got a lot of credibility behind us, a lot of wind behind our backs to let people know that, hey, cloud is real and we can actually modernize and migrate at scale in the Army. The second was really around, starting to modernize our network, because at the end of the day, when we are collecting such large volumes of data today, as we are, I mean, every one of our weapon system platforms is now censored to collect and integrate data. It was really important for us to make sure we had the right networks in place, so we established the concept of the unified network that brings together, literally 42 different networks right here in the United States, and put them under a unified construct to enable interoperability and that seamless exchange of information across our networks. And
hey, Raj, if I may, let me ask you to pull in your third one there. And I want to bring these other folks in to roll through some of these accomplishments.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And the third one was we wanted to make sure that we gave our users, the collaboration capabilities to work in a remote environment. So we established our Army 365, which is our Office 365 environment, as a software as a service. That enabled our users to collaborate, in a remote environment. So it was a good balance across, being strategically focused as well as, being operationally focused near term. And I'd say we've done a tremendous job in year 1.
And congratulations.